Thank you very much, Mary. That was a sterling effort, and we could have had quite a lot less bio. It's just a reflection of how old I've become. The Honourable Ingrid Stitt, Minister for Multicultural Affairs, John Pasuto, Leader of the Opposition and Shadow Minister for Multicultural Affairs, and Amit Keskin, Executive Director, Australian Intercultural Society, co-hosts the society that is causing this Iftar dinner to be here this evening, who have, between the three of them, already given, I think, quite a wonderful set of what I would call keynote addresses with wonderful messages. Let me also say it was a wonderful welcome to country, that we, and echo my colleagues in saying how wonderful it was, and I'm sure you, like me, you feel what you were told you would feel, which is the didgeridoo speaking straight to the heart. I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the unceded lands on which we stand, the Wurundjeri people, the Eastern Kulin Nations, and pay my respects to their elders. And to say there is nothing more to be said almost than what Uncle Shane Charles said. It is a very great pleasure for me to join you this evening for the Australian Intercultural Society's Victorian Parliament Iftar Dinner. As you've heard already, this is the 18th Victorian Parliament Iftar Dinner, organised by the Society, though not only the 18th dinner organised by the Society. And can I say as I begin that it is also the first time I am here in this current role. Let me just reflect one thing about what we are seeing here. In this time of conflict, of humanitarian crisis, of hurt, of anxiety, of fear for the future that comes with seeing what we are seeing, because we all fear for what next. This is a really heartening testament to our great democracy and our great state, because I have not acknowledged all the other wonderful leaders in this room that you've already heard, the various categories that are here, and there is something very important underpinning the people who are here tonight and have chosen to be here. They are people representing the people of Victoria in one form or another, elected by them to speak for them, and they have chosen to be here in that collective way to say we are speaking for humanity, we are speaking for peace, we are speaking for the betterment of peoples in our society and around the world. We also have representatives of key institutions here, the institutions that speak to our cultural traditions, whether they're legal or religious, whether they're educational. So we are sitting in a room, and I'm not leaving the media out of this, I just looked out there and saw those eyes looking at me. We are sitting here in a room where a series of people who represent the people of Victoria, either by being elected or by speaking through the institutions that hold the traditions that we hold dear of this democracy that is ours, and they have said, tonight I will be here. That is a very powerful statement. That is a powerful statement because it is a statement made by action, by taking agency in the context in which we know there is deep division and deep hurt associated with division. And the great thing about democracies is they are built on the notion that we can believe and indeed support and speak to different beliefs. And we can speak to and from our different experiences. But that word that has been mentioned here, both from Uncle Shane Charles through, but we speak with respect, with acknowledging the right of all of us to have a voice, but a respectful voice, about the sort of society we wish to have. That's what a democracy gives us. And that all the people who are speaking to that democratic tradition are here tonight, in their own representative right, in their own institutional roles, tells us that there is a strength that we can draw on, that we can here represent that humanity, that coming together, that respectful recognition of the many different traditions that make up this state in which we live and in which we come together to be a democratic Victoria. And a democratic Victoria is a respectful Victoria. So we know that a long time ago in this country, early on in the times of colonisation, workers from Afghanistan and Pakistan and India came and made their mark in this nation and on this state's history. They played vital roles in establishing all sorts of networks. They were small in number. Those people who came, many of them are known as Afghan, whether they were Cameleers, were some of the earliest Muslim Australians. The earliest settlers brought their religious beliefs and traditions to our community, and it would be indeed many years before a much larger Muslim community would develop in Victoria, but indeed we have a much larger Muslim community and we have a much more diverse population in Victoria, drawing on many more traditions and respecting, as we should, the First Peoples. The Albanian mosque in Shepparton was built in the late 1950s. It's the earliest surviving purpose-built mosque in Victoria. But it wasn't until the 1960s, so quite recently, for those of us of my great age, quite recently, that significant Muslim migration would begin, and the people who came were predominantly drawn from Turkey. The growth of communities of those who support the Muslim religion has been quite rapid, and approximately 40% of Australia's Muslim population call Melbourne home now. Collectively, they attend more than 25 mosques, and those mosques in the tradition of Islam have days when they are open and encourage all people to come, because that the Open Mosque Day is to build dialogue and friendships while sharing mutual respect and understanding. That is the same impulse that is behind these iftar dinners. They, like this one, offer another avenue through which to form connections across religious and cultural lines. And that is very important, that we have moments to celebrate understanding of others who may have traditions and share traditions that are not ours, but that we respect and that we support their ability to follow those traditions. And Iftar dinner is a very important part of this. It is, as all the speakers before me have said, part of the rich multiculturalism that defines our way of life. But it is a multiculturalism built in those democratic traditions, that give voice to people, give agency to people, all based in respect. So increasingly, Victorians of all religious beliefs, and I think this is indeed what John Pacito was referring to, participate in celebrations for Diwali, Lunar New Year, Passover, Iftar, many others. They are not seen as celebrations only for those who are associated with that particular cultural tradition. They are all of our celebration of those traditions. And we use our public spaces to be home to those celebrations. We have those celebrations in our public spaces because we are saying they are ours. They are for all of us. So each time we do this, it's an opportunity for Victorians to come together and gain greater understanding of one another. And I pay tribute to the Australian Intercultural Society, which is founded, as you've heard, on a belief and desire to encourage greater connection between different communities, regardless of faith or background. I want to pay tribute to the board members and volunteers of the Society because they have worked tirelessly to encourage greater social cohesion, and I congratulate them on their tireless advocacy of this pursuit, particularly in these, as they've been called, challenging times. We search for the many euphemisms for what is a really serious series of events that we all observe and which many are feeling directly. Tonight we're here because we're able to reinforce those connections between us all, those cross-cultural connections, and indeed to do that other thing that I think is very Melburnian thing, share the joy of a well-cooked meal. We have other things to share. I am not going to take too much longer here because this is an evening for all of us to speak to one another, to feel the connection, to give evidence of that respect, to recognise that a great democracy is a multicultural democracy. Our greatest strength is we are not one thing, we are not one people, we are many peoples and many things to many peoples, with a set of values that say all should have a place here and all should have a voice, as long as that voice is respectful. And that when we see conflict, we do our very best to make sure that we can mend what we can help to mend that will reduce the conflict, that will leave the hurt and will leave the damage that does not make for a great and healthy society. So even if it is not ours here, we have to help. And we can only do that by being healthy here. And we are only healthy here when we're true to those democratic traditions and we respect and recognise and give the voice to the many who are part of our community. I hope you enjoy a wonderful meal. I hope they are great conversations and respectful and wonderful conversations, and I know they will be. And we should never forget that it is the representatives of the people and the institutions they created and their representatives that are here tonight, saying collectively with all the strength that goes with that, we we can all work together. We can make sure that conflict is not part of our lives, but respect, and respect for different traditions and voices is. Thank you.